Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Bobby. Guys, this is a video that I've been holding back on, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna publish this on YouTube at all, or maybe my Telegram group or Patreon, we'll see. The point of the story is that I've been reflecting on the nature of a God, and I came to the realization in a deep meditation, matter of fact, that everything we see within this world, within this life, that we see as a duality ultimately between good and evil, is contained within God. And it is absolutely beautiful. So when it comes down to Islam and the 99 names of Allah, for example, oftentimes we get a lot of flack from Christians. They will say stupid things such as, "Oh, so Allah is the deceiver? Well, who is the deceiver? That is Satan, so Allah is Satan, don't you see?" This is so juvenile and so moronic ultimately. And it all stems from the Christian model of God, of course. The Christian model of God is that God is love. He is just love, fully love, all loving all the time, right? So there is no evil within God, so to speak. And this is why they always face the issue, of course, of the problem of evil. The philosophical problem of evil is always proposed at Christians, and they simply don't really have an answer to this. The answers are very juvenile as well. Oftentimes it boils down to saying, well, when you see something evil, this is because those people don't believe in God. This is why. But in Islam, as I said already, we have a different view of God. Our God is not all loving. Yes, He is the most loving. His capacity of loving is much greater than ours. And yes, He is the most merciful. But He is not only mercy. No, God can be wrathful as well. He can be a deceiver in that way too. He can be a punisher as well. And this is something that they simply don't want to understand because it shatters their fabric of God. Because the Christians already anthropomorphized God. They think that God is Jesus Christ, a sinless man, such a good role model, and this is what God is, a loving human being. But this is not what God is. You have to understand, think about it logically. If you see this world, and Islamically we see this world as a test, then this test couldn't even function without evil. Because if there is no evil, then there is no good. People really believe that if you remove evil, by the absence of evil, ultimately you're left with just goodness. But that would be an impossibility, of course. To understand what good is, for that you need the contrast of evil, of course. Otherwise, good doesn't mean anything. Good then would be simply neutral. It wouldn't be good. Do you understand? So you always need those polar opposites for such a duality to exist in the first place. And therefore, Islamically, as I stated already, we have the definition of the test of life, where we are tested with good and evil, quote unquote. But even good and evil ultimately are just perceptions of us human beings. Sure, God put them in place, so we see this contrast. However, good and evil come from God, because God contains the fullness of it. And this is something that people don't want to grasp because it feels scary. So wait a second. Murder, death, all of this is in God somehow? This is an expression of God. This is very scary for many people and kind of alien as well. But yes, in Islam, one of the 99 names is as well the Deathbringer, right? I'm paraphrasing here, of course. But the one who brings death. Of course, God decides who He gives life to and who He kills ultimately, who He takes away. This is not all fairy tales and rainbows here. Yes, this can be a very dark reality as well. And all of that is contained within God. Yet again, I want to stress, when Christians say, Allah is Satan then, because Satan is a deceiver and Satan is a murderer, etc., etc. Man, don't you understand that Satan has been created by God? So therefore, if you see, dear Christians, Satan as this ultimate evil, okay, fair enough. But think about who created Satan. This was God as well, right? So therefore there's already the potential of utter evil, perceived evil, within God too. And this is why the Christians are so misled, even when it comes down to gendering God, because their God is a father and a son, both male, of course. In their view, they are male humans. And this is why, of course, the atheists are always attacking the Christians, and rightfully so. They say, well, I don't believe in a sky daddy, and neither do I. I don't believe in a sky daddy either. Because for an ultimate being, for ultimate consciousness, for the first cause to create male and female, both needs to be contained within that absolute perfection of that being. But of course, at the same time, transcending both, because it goes beyond biological gender. So don't misunderstand this here. But anyways, my point of the story here, dear Christians especially, is yes, God in Islam is not all good. I know how Christians like to say, oh, God is good, God is love. All of that sounds very good because it caters to your human emotions, to very strong human emotions, of course, of love, unity, etc., etc. But yet again, how would such a God create a duality in which pure evil exists as well? And this is why within your framework, you will always face the problem of evil, right? The philosophical problem of evil, yet again, because you will say, yeah, well, that child got and this is because God was not present there. But God is omnipresent within Christianity, right? So he closed his eyes, he wasn't looking, he let it happen. What happened there? No, then Christians will again blame certain humans and will say, yeah, well, those humans, they don't believe in God and this is why they do it. But why did God then instill such an evil nature into humans so they can do such atrocious act? The reality of this is, and this is what I really wanted to keep away from YouTube and from the mainstream, and I'm not giving you a fatwa here, I'm not giving you Islamic guidance, I'm simply giving you my perspective, take it or leave it. All I'm saying is that if you reflect honestly and you take your biases aside, then you will have to admit that all of that evil and good, perceived evil and good, are expressions of God, and the way that we see it are simply labels and our perceptions that of course don't have the greater picture of God at all. We simply have a pixel of the whole screen and we start defining it. Think about it logically. I'm going to give you a naturalistic example. If you're in nature and you see a bear eating a fish, obviously that will never be good for the fish, quote unquote good. But in terms of nature, it simply is what it is. And in terms of godhood, God created nature and he made it to be what it is. And therefore our human definitions of, yeah, well, the poor fish or that evil bear, let's make a Disney movie out of it, do not count whatsoever. And the same projection that we have in our everyday human life doesn't count either. Now, I'm not saying that there are no laws in place. Of course, we have the Sharia. Of course, there are rules to this game on how to live a successful life in this dunya and in the akhirah. But that doesn't mean that everything else is not an expression of God. Alright guys, and this is it for today's video. If you liked it, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out the links in the description box below, especially my new ebook, The Return, in which I talk about my reversion to Islam and all the other ideologies that I explored previously to that. Check it out in the description box below. And as always, may God bless you all. Much love and peace.
يا نفس إن لم تظفري لا تجزعي